Okay, now I think we're live. I think we're live. Okay, hi everyone. This is Kai. I'm in Singapore, and I believe right now in US that's like 9 a.m. Some parts of US. We're at like 11 p.m. right now in Singapore. This is part of the series that we've created, which is celebrating Gary. So this week marks the 2nd year anniversary that Gary has passed. And many of us still miss him a lot, hold on to many, many stories that we have personally with him. So when we came up with this idea, it started off with a really small project. We really wanted to just kind of reach out to people that have been with Gary, close to Gary, worked with him, traveled with him, and just really try to put together this, weave together like this picture of this incredible man. I mean, he's so multifaceted that it's almost hard to describe him, right? So we wanted to try to piece together stories to help everybody reconnect to who he is, and also for all the new members that have joined the whole Young Living family ever since then, who has never met Gary before, to really create that opportunity for them to take a peek into his life. So when we created all of this, I have to say again that the names that came into my mind, who I would love to hear from, was very, very specific. Like, I didn't have to sit there and like twirl my pen and go like, who do we ask? It was like, boom, boom, boom. Like, these are the guys. Like, I've got their name. I'm gonna like give them a call or text or Facebook message and go like, can you do this? So I had dropped Todd Walker a note, okay? And so honestly, when it first started, I was like, oh, not sure. Todd's so busy. Todd, I mean, just the formal background about him. He was our VP Global Sales. That's like 3 years ago, his past life. And that was how I got to know him. When he traveled into Singapore, I got to meet him, and he just hit me right away with his personality as somebody, even though corporate was so willing to just sit down and listen, like so involved in the field. And ever since then, he has taken on this completely new adventure, and he's decided that Gary's vision was so important to him as well. He really wanted to see Gary's vision of putting essential oils in every home like really manifest itself. So he's taken on that personal adventure to say like, I'm getting into the field with you guys. He's become a distributor since then. And I love it. I miss the fact that he no longer is in corporate and I can complain things to him, but I love the fact that he's in the field, okay? So I dropped Todd a note where I was like, yeah, maybe we can get Todd. Like, he's got the perspective from a distributor and corporate. It would be so interesting to hear from him. I have to say, he took a couple of days, was it 2 days, to get back to me. So I was a little bit scared. I was like, is he not going to say yes? He came back, and this was the loveliest surprise for me. He said, Kai, I would do this, but is it okay that I bring in my better half, Lauren? So this was literally what happened. I was looking at my screen. I was like, yes, 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 yes. Like, because honestly, Lauren is still holding the capacity of working in Young Living right now. She is our chief supply chain officer. She is so involved in the field in terms of the oil sourcing, making sure that our farms keeps to seed to seal standards, manufacturing, warehousing, fulfillment. She's like one busy woman. So I honestly wasn't really thinking she would come on. But Todd, being Todd, says, can I bring my bed off? And I'm like, you bet. This is like, you guys, you are in for a treat. You guys get these two wonderful human beings here with you guys tonight. And I do want to just say a little bit more things about them because like that's the very corporate introduction to these two guys. But I really want to speak into why I invited them, because I could pick any corporate person, and I'm being very honest, but I didn't. Sorry. I was very specific that I would love for Todd and Lauren because they're just heartfelt people. Like you know when you meet people and you get their heart. You get their heart for the company, you get their heart for Gary. And there's just, you don't need to even speak into it, like hear anything else. And like just as we're getting on this video just now, can I reveal this, Lauren? Lawrence came and said like, oh my God, she woke up this morning and she went, can I don't do this? Because she just bawled her eyes out thinking about Gary. So with that, I'm gonna unmute them and invite these two amazing human beings live with us. Now you guys say hello to everyone.
Hello.
Okay. So thank you. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Todd, for doing this with us. And I don't know how this is going to work because now we have the two of you in a very short amount of time. But we know that both of you have so many stories to tell us. So I'm going to like just kind of like just let you guys go wild. Tell us by starting with a story that each one of you might have that you really want to remember Gary by.
I love it. I love it. First of all, Kai, you can still call me and complain. I would be more than willing to endure your complaints. So please.
He takes all of the complaints from the field, and now I am the face of corporate. So every day, morning, noon, and night, I have to hear all of the feedback of the things that are not going right, and how VO doesn't work properly, and how he could one. So I've become the voice of corporate. Yes, so yes. On your behalf.
Oh God.
No, on a serious note though, thank you for doing this, you and your team, for putting this together. I think this is a special tribute to Gary. I would tell you this, both Lauren and I are extremely honored that you chose us. I mean, here's the reality. Millions of people have stories of Gary.
Yes.
And more stories than we have over a longer period of time. And he's just that, I think, influential. He's that special, you know, as we often say, bigger than life. And it's not only because of the products he develops, right? It's not only because of the company he created, right? It's because of the personal,
who he is as a person,
his personal actions and behaviors. And
absolutely.
But we feel honored, and so we'll share a couple stories for sure.
Yeah.
I would say that I probably should turn over for Lauren, because Lauren was had some Gary stories and Gary adventures before I even joined the company.
Yeah.
So
I'll start with recruiting. So I was with another direct sales company, and I got a call from a headhunter about this opportunity in Utah. And so I'm talking to Todd about it, and he goes, "There's no way in the world we're moving to Utah, but you know, we want to just go check out this company." I had talked to Jared, so our COO, on the phone quite a bit about this opportunity, and he says, "Oh, we're having this convention coming up, and it was June of 2016. He says, "What, you should come up for the convention and just meet a few of our members." Now I'm thinking 100 people, a couple hundred people. So I come to Utah just to kind of explore this company. And there are 23,000 people in this huge stadium. And I meet Gary for the first time. And he's large. I knew very little about him. Of course, I read up on the company and just got a lot of information and insight from Jared. But, it's nothing, it's two-dimensional. To see the man in 3D, and when I saw him, there's almost like a light that radiated from him that I had not seen before. It's just odd. And then the people that were cheering for him and the excitement for this man, and he had just been injured. Was jousting and he had hurt his hand. But he shook his hand, put his hand out to reach me and greet me. And despite the pain, because I think he had broken his hand or wrist at the time, and he didn't flinch once, because he was so into me and wanting to meet me and just engage with me that the power of my shake, it didn't even shake him. But that was my first introduction to Gary. And he did not disappoint from that point forward. He was just always into us building a relationship, into him sharing with me and engaging with me and just doing all he can to support me as a leader. And I'll just tell you my really quick,
No, I was gonna say, but also share with him that he actually had me come up.
Yeah, right. So he said, right. So basically when I came up to convention and they had given me an offer, and he says, "Well, I know you probably wouldn't want to make this decision in a vacuum. So call your husband up and tell him to get on the next flight to come to Utah so we can meet him and we can explore Utah together." And what owner of $1 billion plus company does that? Growing like crazy. And he did that. So he invited Todd up to but I wanted to tell him really quick that I think he's jumping in.
All right, so funny thing is, I'm like, why would I go to Utah? Like, why? And then she said, well, this company is special. It feels unique.
Very different.
And they gave me an offer, and I think we should look at it. I said, okay. Jumped on a plane, came up. So on that same recruiting trip, I meet Gary. So we're backstage. It's the closing ceremony for convention. So Gary's coming out, right, to go on stage. I mean, he's about to enter stage in convention, backstage, right? He stopped and said, "Hey, I want to meet Todd," and came over to me like I was the only one in the room.
Yes.
And he reached, this time he's smart. He reached out his left hand because his right hand was about like a balloon from jousting.
Oh.
And we shook hands and we sit there and talked for a minute. And he, really wanted to connect with who I was. And I'm like,
despite tens of thousands of other people waiting to see him on stage, right. He's stopping to pause to talk to not the person who's interviewing for the job, but the spouse of the person who's interviewing for the job. That just tells you who he is as a person.
Oh.
But, but if you can put the picture up.
Okay. Give me a second. Let me just put the pictures up for you.
So I've told this story, but I think I want to talk about the impact on me more so than the story, because of who Gary is. So and I look a wreck. And let me tell you why I look a wreck. So Gary had invited his exec team. So this is Gary, to go hunting. And this is 3 months into joining the company. So when I received my offer letter in the mail, in addition to the offer letter, at the bottom of it was this registration to go to get a hunter's license. I'm like, what the? I mean, hunter's license? I've never held a gun in my life. I'm from Brooklyn. We don't hunt. Anyway, so I applied for the license and everything, but we go hunting as an executive team. And everyone harvested the deer within literally the first day. And for some reason, Gary could not find the right deer for me. And so we were on the mountain for now I saw there was a plethora of animals in our presence that we could have chosen from, but he wanted to keep me in the mountain. So all of the executives had left the mountain and they were home in their warm beds. And I'm still out there. Like, it was freezing at night and it was boiling during the day. And we walked miles and miles and miles and miles. But it was all to spend quality time and get to know me. Now, again, this is the man that's running $1 billion plus company, has lots of things to do, has lots of people to coach, develop, but he knows sourcing is the lifeline for Young Living. And he felt that quality time with him and me on the mountain, one-on-one, engaging him, telling me stories, sharing his expertise to me so that I could carry on the things that are important to him was critically important. And I just, and so I was so miserable on the mountain, but when I left the mountain, I left with so much more than just experience. I left the knowledge and, the vision of what this man had for this company, and the fact that he trusts me with it is just, okay, and I'm going to pause it a little bit and probably go get some tissues, but it was just truly amazing. So I just wanted to share that story.
Well, I have to say, because I did hear you talk about this once, but to actually see the picture, it actually really puts into perspective, because you were really describing it the last time. So it's, I can see that exhaustion on your face, but also that glow. Like, oh my goodness, like that there probably was so much download and sharing that was so important. Yeah. Thank you for sharing this picture.
So if you can imagine, right, and you can take the picture down, right? If you can imagine what I'm thinking, okay, this is Lauren Marie Walker from Brooklyn, right? Who is about to join a company, who is studying hunting procedures. I'm like, what are we doing here? Why are we moving to Utah again? It's like, this is crazy. So I hadn't joined the company yet. So why don't you take the picture down, Kai?
Take the picture down? Okay, hang on.
So I hadn't joined the company yet, and I was still kind of thinking, this is interesting, this is an interesting kind of company. I'm trying to learn a little bit more about it. So I was fortunate enough to go on a trip with Lauren to Ecuador, okay? And I was the plus one. My idea was going to be to chill, relax, enjoy myself while she's working, okay? Well, as you know, if you have ever been to Ecuador, and if you've ever been around, these amazing Young Living, grateful, authentically passionate for the product members, it's hard to do that. And so it just sucked me in. So next thing you know, I'm actually experiencing the farm, and I'm seeing, I've heard about, but seeing this vision of Gary's that came to life, over multiple years. And I think Nikki talked about just her experience in Ecuador, but to see what was nothing become something so special for me was just phenomenal to see that. For me to actually be able to go to the Gary Young Foundation and see this school that's providing so much hope and so much education and resources for people who need it, were just mind-blowing. And so it put a different dimension on this idea of for purpose, not profit, that, Gary has really embedded into the company. And so from that experience alone, I was sold. I was very excited about what's next for me and how do I actually connect with this company. So fast forward, we're sitting at the breakfast table in Tabiona with Gary and Mary, right? Eating the pancakes, the einkorn pancakes that Gary has prepared, right? Owner of $1 billion plus growing company, making pancakes for us, okay?
And they were good.
Who does that, right? Who does that? Talking about opportunities within Young Living, right? So that's kind of a perspective that really I can't even put words around, because it's so different than the kind of leadership you would expect at that level, And so he's unique and different, for sure. But so we'll fast forward. I joined the company, Vice President of Global Sales and Business Innovations, right? Just like Lauren, right? Less than 3 months of being with the company, I am on a Gary adventure, okay?
We are.
Right, we are, yeah, we are on a Gary adventure. So he wanted to take all of his leaders snowmobiling, okay? And so you can put the first one up of snowmobile. Okay. So I'm like, this is cake. I mean, I've done snowmobiling.
No. Gary says, okay, who here in a group has experienced snowmobiling, and Todd's like, you know, I got this. I have experience. Gary was not talking about smooth little room trail riding. He was talking about mountain man, major snow experience.
This is my story.
Yeah, because you're going to understate
no.
how wrong you were.
So the funny thing about it is that, you know, he did clarify afterwards. He said, Todd, you have done trail riding in Poconos, like the East Coast, you know, mountains or on the trails, not mountain riding through the wilderness, ungroomed powder in the West Coast mountains.
So he gives Todd the biggest, most powerful granddaddy of them all, snowmobile. Okay, keep going.
So anyway, this picture is Gary addressing the group. You know, he's briefing us, and he's saying this is the deepest powder they've seen in 19 years. Right? You will get stuck. If you and when you do, I want you to do a couple of things. I want you to get on the opposite side of the wind so you stay a little warmer. I want you to not go against your intuition. Don't try to lift the mobile by yourself, right? Don't try to dig yourself out because you'll end up getting a hernia, right? And we will find you. Trust me, we'll find you. It may not be today, but we'll find you.
When you thaw out spring, maybe.
Like that. It may not be today, but we will find you.
So, right? So, needless to say,
this is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles of wide open snow.
So we head out, and the first thing happens is David Little, who you may know, who works on Lauren's team, right? Responsible for farms, and he's on an interview. Agronomist. Gary has him there as an interviewing process, okay, to meet the team and experience this experience with them, right? So David's trying to show off. David goes down into a valley like I've never seen before. Everyone had to jump out, climb through snow, like 4 to 5 feet of snow, trying to get him, right? I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy is, you know, like, how could that happen to someone, right? So I shouldn't have said that. So next thing you know, we're going along the trail, and of course, the adventurous Jared goes up onto the mountain, like a fresh powder. And of course, I'm like, I could do that. And so I followed Jared. When we came back down, I kind of missed the trail and then dropped into this valley like I've never seen before. And I knew where this was going to go.
And no one could see you. No one can hear you scream because...
Right. So I tried my best. I tried my best to kind of make my way back up, but I turned around and I went the other way, and I couldn't get up. Like I'm going, I couldn't get up. Going. I probably went about 3 to 4 miles the opposite way.
To try to get out of the ditch.
To where they were. And I got up and got stuck again. So I'm stuck.
With no one around, no one who even knows he's gone.
So my lovely wife didn't care that I was gone. She obviously didn't know. So I literally was there doing everything that Gary said not do. I was trying to lift the machine. I was sweating. I felt like I had a hernia, right? My sweat had frozen up. It was an hour. I saw no one. I mean, I can look miles around, white. I saw no one. I said, this is going to be the day. This let me say my piece, my prayers. This will be the day. I'm not going to make it, you know? So, of course, needless to say, what do I see coming from the horizon? Gary. So Gary and Joe Walker came. I found him. So he came and got me and dug me out. Now, I'm embarrassed, as you can imagine. Here's the owner of the company having to bury me out, dig me out. But I was happy.
Go to the next slide.
This is my story. So
snowmobile.
So hold on. So
Tree well.
So he says, "Stay on my tail, Todd. I want you to stay on my tail." Gary doesn't realize that he can't avoid adventure, so he's going. I'm on his trail. He goes up in the mountain again. There's snow. I'm like, oh no! I can't go there. I know I can't do that anymore. So I stayed on the trail and prayed that he came down. He came down. I got on his butt. He made a turn to go find other people. I couldn't turn the mobile. I went straight.
Because again, he has this the most powerful mobile.
I went straight.
Because someone thought he could.
I went
good
to a tree swell and was going toward a tree, and the mobile went deep down into the tree.
Yeah.
And so,
is that Gary digging you out?
No,
Yep.
that's
Joe Walker.
So
that happened no less than 8 times.
Oh my.
So wait. So I go out. So Gary comes over. What happened? What happened, Todd? I said, stay on my tail. I said, I tried. I couldn't. Right. And so he comes over. And then Joe starts to dig me out. He says, 1 second. He backs away. He takes out his phone and smiles and takes a picture. So Gary took this picture. I will tell you, Lauren is accurate. It was probably 8 to 10 times.
I was so mad because
it 8 to 10 times. And I tell you, we got around the campfire, and I mean, I was lost. I mean, it kept happening. And Gary said, I think we have a new name for Todd. He goes, #Where's Todd? And I got my #Where's Todd name.
Nowadays, when anyone's looking for Todd, they go, #Where's Todd?
Now we know, #Where's Todd?
Where's Todd, yeah.
But there's one thing there's a couple of things I'll tell you. One is what Lauren's trying to tell you is how embarrassing it was for her.
Oh my gosh, yes. The owner's digging him out constantly. I'm like, what? I pulled him to the side one of the many times he got stuck and said, are you trying to get me fired? What are you doing?
She did.
Are you doing this on purpose?
The last time she looked at me with disgust. It was unbelievable. But what was really interesting, and it's Gary, right? There was nothing more beautiful for him to have his leadership team out in the wilderness,
yes,
right? And one thing that you saw every time somebody's actually in trouble, he's the first
to the
one
rescue.
Right? So he's showing leadership by example. So next thing you know,
we look out for each other.
Exactly. Next thing you know, every time somebody's getting in a messed up situation, and there were a lot of times,
we all then jumped in.
Because
that's what Gary did, right? We stayed around and looked. We got off our mobile. We got our shovels out, dug them out, because that's what our leader did.
Yeah.
So
that's at the end of that day, I almost lost a wife. I almost lost a job. I broke my glasses one time, and I caught my pants on fire at the fire.
Oh yeah! He was so frozen after being dug out that Gary had built a campfire. He was standing he was so close to the fire. He was like, what is this? What is this smell? Todd, you're on fire! His pants were on fire.
It's experience that I will treasure, but I could actually.
That should have been a new hashtag Todd on fire.
Oh boy.
Okay. So why don't we go to the next one? You feel.
Next picture?
Yes, yeah.
Ooh,
what is this one?
So that's Gary in the middle, and me and Jerry were walking back. So that was what was it? That was right after convention, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. At the convention, all of the corporate leaders from around the world. So VPs, the general managers. The country managers, general managers for all the markets, and the corporate staff, VPs and above, all go to Tabiona to. Just to kind of get together to talk about leadership, training, hear Gary's vision, strategize for the year to come, talk about gaps, opportunities, how do we support each other better. So this is something that we did as a part of the annual process. People stay after convention because we're all there and we engage in this. And so this is just a picture I wanted to show. Gary tapped me and Jared on the arm and took us on a long walk to the edge of the elk barrier to see this baby elk, that this little tiny thing, that was really ill the night before. It was just born, and so Gary and his sons had taken it to a barn and nursed it. So he was up the whole night. He was up 24 hours at that point in time because he was nursing this little baby back to health, and he had brought it back to the fence line to wait for its mother to come back and join it. But it just, again, that's Gary's way of showing we take pride in nature. We do what's right for all living things on our planet, and his way of showing me and Jared the care that we take, and we need to be stewards of the earth. And so it's our job to also do these kind of things as well. So it's just, I should have posted the picture of him actually holding the little calf, but that's just a picture of the three of us walking back together, joining the group after him showing pride and being a good steward of the earth.
We can share that picture with you, and you can post it later, Kai. But
yeah.
After every story, like I'm wiping my eyes. I apologize.
So I want to. So this is interesting. I want to share a little bit more about this story and how we got there. And I took this picture, okay. And what I saw was this amazing man in God's country with his leaders, teaching them business and life lessons, right? And just so proud to have him there. And I want to talk about how we got there. So Lauren's right about the GM Summit, but here's how we got there, okay? After every convention, there is a GM Summit, right? Because we have everybody from all around the world there, all the leaders around the world. So this year, 2017, I was asked to be the facilitator for the GM Summit. So I just recently recruited Franco Silva, who we worked together at another company. I knew he was an expert in human-centered design. And so he and I worked together, put this vision, blow by blow, agenda together, minute by minute. Okay, so how this would work, right? So we had this agenda. And so afterwards, we had the GM Summit. So the first day of the GM Summit, we tried to do something very innovative and had a workshop. And we had a See the Seal workshop. And the teams were doing report outs for the See the Seal workshop. As they're doing that, who walks in? Gary and Mary, right? So they come in and sit in the front row as these teams are presenting out what they should be doing about See the Seal. Of all things, right? What Gary is so passionate about. So everybody was a little bit like on pins and needles. Somebody was like, oh my gosh. And so he was very calming, asking some encouraging questions to people who were giving the report outs. And then afterwards he goes, Todd, do you mind? Can I share a couple of things about See the Seal? So of course, Gary, 2 hours later, everyone is mesmerized of the level of forward thinking, the level of details, level of passion for See the Seal. I mean, this is someone who, again, is the owner of the company. So this was really insightful for me. And then afterwards, I mean, and frankly, a lot of the things that we see today, like On the Grow, bringing the farms to people, that's coming from his vision 3 years ago. So after that, he goes, Todd, I don't know if this is the right environment for people to really understand the Young Living culture and get a feel for, what we do.
We were in an auditorium at corporate.
Yeah, like a little conference room. I tell you what, how about this? How about we end your session tomorrow early and have everyone drive up. This is like 40 people from around the world. Drive up to Tabiona and stay the night in Tabiona, and we can get up in the morning and go feed the elk. And we can go out and do bull riding, four-wheel. And I looked over at Franco, and I kind of know the environment of Young Living. He's only been in the company like 2 months. He looked at me like, what just happened?
What about my plan and the actions I was going to do here?
And so
he's online, and I just saw him says all that planning.
Shoot. So it's kind of funny because literally we had, 20 people who had international flights the next day. Okay, so here they are, they have to cancel the flights, find a way to drive 2.5 hours and spend the night at the ranch.
Hey,
and you know what?
Worth every second of it.
Absolutely.
Every second.
Go to the next slide.
Next picture?
Yes, next picture. So this is interesting because this is the night before, and this it closes the loop on what Lauren was saying. Okay, so we go up to Tabiona, and we probably were up to like 12, 1 in the morning. This is, people from, the Asia, the APAC team, the Latin American team, the European team. Yep, the European team, the corporate team. And we're sitting here listening to story after story after story with our mouths just wide open from Gary, right? This is the way, this is Gary's way of learning, right? Which is amazing. Teaching, right? And so as Lauren mentioned, guess what happens? We go to bed. Where does he go? He goes out to deal with the baby elk. And then Jared says to me, hey, Todd, at 7:30 breakfast, we need to be in the kitchen at 6:30 so we don't have Gary cooking breakfast. Of course, we get there at 6:30.
He had been up from 4:30.
Gary has turkey bacon frying. He has the einkorn pancakes going.
The eggs Benedict.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's so funny because you guys are the third set of speakers, and every time we are hearing about the einkorn pancakes and the turkey bacon. So we've heard it.
Oh, good. Best breakfast ever.
Oh man. So but that you think about that, right? So this is who does that, right? So the next morning we're out riding around, and what you saw from Lauren was a picture from that next morning. But
Next one.
But who? No. I need to. Call is coming in.
Is it the wrong one?
Nope.
No. It's Todd's screen.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
So the point I'm making there is, I've never seen a leader at that level so focused and passionate about immersing his leaders in the culture of the company, right? In the foundation of the company. And that is as important as results, because he believes that is something that we'll get the results from. And so that's a very powerful, I think, takeaway for me about Gary.
And oh boy, go get me to shoot quick.
Okay.
We're Gary's family, and I've worked for many large corporations, Fortune 500 companies, actually Fortune 50s. Worked around many billionaires, people, CEOs of very established companies. And I've never, ever worked somewhere where I have truly felt, you can go to the next slide.
You want to go to the next one? Okay, sure. That.
The power of family. Thank you. And love and gratitude from an owner to people who are on his staff. I just have never felt that before. And it's amazing because I knew Gary literally 2 years before his passing. And on one side, you say to yourself, who bonded someone in the course of 2 years that's that substantial, that here it is 2 years anniversary after his passing, that there's still this level of emotion. But it is so real, and there's no one on this planet like him. This picture is what I call the last dance. It was the last time I saw Gary basically standing, and we danced together that night. It was a holiday party. It was like December of just January, he started to get pretty ill. And I don't like to dance. I break all Black stereotypes. I'm the worst dancer on the planet. And people are like, okay, well, you're Black. How does that happen? But I can't dance well. So Gary was pulling me out on the dance floor, and I'm like, oh no, but I'm so glad I went out there to dance with him. Because he was just so engaged. He was like, there's no one else in the room. It was just the two of us dancing. And it was so much fun. He was having a good time, and I was having a good time. And it's a picture that I'll cherish forever. It's just, again, it goes back to the relationship that I had with him. Although only 2 years, it is a lifetime full worth of memory and learning and experience and joy and pain, because Gary had high expectations, and it pushed me, it stretched me, it made me grow in ways I could never imagine. And although I'd had almost 30 years of work experience before coming to Young Living, what I learned with him in the 2 years have stretched me and grown me to a place that I don't think I could have gotten without Gary. So that's the last picture I had to share. I don't know if Todd had anything else to close, but oh boy.
Oh, wow. I'm gonna just put a picture away because I think everybody wants to see you guys' face.
Well, you know,
see Lauren's crying face. I'm sorry.
That's special. Just thinking about it and hearing that and remembering that moment, for sure. The picture before was Gary, Lauren, Jared, Matt, and me, right? And that picture was a picture that was taken when Lauren was promoted, right? And they wanted to take a picture when she was promoted to Chief of Global Supply Chain. And so, and it's funny because Gary and Jared are so inclusive. come on, Todd, take a picture. I'm like, I'm not, no, that's her, right? So we took a picture together. When I look at that picture, for me, what it symbolizes is it symbolizes Gary, really transferring and instilling his expertise in his leaders to carry out his legacy and carry out his vision, right? And in fact, it's interesting. I remember, speaking of that, you think about Lauren, right? He has instilled in Lauren
Jared,
the responsibility of sourcing, right? And something that's near and dear to him, supply chain, right? And the farms. Think about Jared. He has instilled with him the operation of the company, the leadership of the company. And in fact, when that happened, it was kind of a very interesting, and it was another sad but interesting moment.
It was exciting.
It was so another hashtag Where's Todd. So they would joke around Where's Todd all the time, hashtag Where's Todd. So Gary calls everybody in the room, right? I'm not an executive, right? And so he goes in the room and he goes, "Where's Todd?" And everyone's laughing. Ah, said, "No, where's Todd?" It was making sense. So I'm in my office and I see like literally 2 admins sprinting downstairs. "Gary wants you upstairs right away. Gary wants you right away." So we come upstairs, and that was the moment where he shared with the executive team and people he cared about that he was passing the baton to Jared
as president.
Which
my gosh! You think I'm crying now?
That was.
I was boohooing, like it was so emotional.
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Just so many reasons. Yeah. Jared is just an incredible leader.
Yeah.
And
and also I think at that point in time, I remember you talked to me about this. You knew that he felt like he needed to pass it on because he may not be around long term, and so that was part of the.
That's kind of when I felt that he felt that. Anyway, and so it was so emotional because here's this passing of the baton happening right in front of our faces, and so it's this legacy being passed on to someone who's so important to Jared, right? And Jared, who is so capable, such an amazing leader, taking the baton, and it was monumental for me.
It was, and so
and Mary was there, and the executive team was there.
So it was. The point I was making is I look at that picture and it symbolizes a few things. And for me, it's Gary doing what he can do to lift others up, develop others, grow others to carry on his legacy.
Absolutely.
And so I think about that, and I think about that team. It's a representation of the executive team between obviously Jared, Lauren, and Matt, but the entire team locking arms to say, we will carry out the legacy, right? And I think when I think about the 5x5 pledge, it's all about that. It's about carrying out the legacy. It's about the team locking arms to be strategic about, intentional about, and measurable about carrying out Gary's legacy. Think about it, right? It's about impacting humanity, right, and lives, empowering lives with the foundation. It's about reaching people around the world in multiple markets, in new markets every year, and 5 million new homes. It's about, in order to do that, in order to uphold the Seed to Seal commitment, we need new farms. It's about farms, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. And then lastly, when you think about Gary is all about a steward of the earth. And he was all about the steward of the earth. And so when we leave this planet, we have to leave it in a better place than it was. And so you think about the commitment to be zero waste in 5 years. And so to me, that's the leadership's locking arms to say, we are going to carry out his legacy.
By doing these things.
Which is very, very special when I think about that picture. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you guys told me that both of you have worked together side by side in 5 different companies, including Young Living, I guess. Yes. So it really got me curious because number one, obviously it's not easy for a couple to work together, but also at the same time, I really, Todd's like going, But I think you guys have gone through so much experiences together. I really am curious. as a couple, what's really standing out? I mean, you guys have said a lot, but like, how does working with Young Living together really stand out for the two of you? What's so special and unique about this?
You first.
For me, it's the belief that this company and the knowledge based on my experience with Gary is so much bigger than it is itself. So yes, we have our goals and our vision, our mission, and the things that is important to us. But Gary's vision is so big and so huge and so impactful that it really consumes who you are to really make it come to life. And working in that capacity is incredible. It's can be overwhelming because there's a lot of pressure on you. But when you have a spouse that is also living and experiencing, now, even though he's in a different capacity, he gets, because of his experiences with Gary, how big this is and how important this mission is and how the roles that we play in order to make sure this happens is monumental, it's huge. And so having someone who we can work side by side to help carry those things out, but then come home and strategize and think, and how did this go? Or this didn't turn out the way I wanted it. What's a different approach that we can kind of team up day, we can team up at night to always be thinking about how we move forward with Gary's mission. And for me, I think it's just so impactful. So yes, we work together at other companies, but I say what's different here is that this is so big, it's so important, and we're doing it together. And hopefully Gary's looking down and saying, you're doing a good job, or that he's happy about some of the decisions that we've made to help carry out his vision.
Yeah, that's beautiful. For me, the why is stronger. Right? We work for
Yes.
Fortune 50 companies. P&G, J&J. I work for GE, right, and the largest direct sales company. The why is stronger, and so the why is so strong for me that it impacted me and touched my soul for me to make a radical change, only 6 months ago, to go from the VP of Global Sales, member experience, to a distributor, not a zero OGV. But when I think about what the company stands for, and you talk about purpose, not profit, right? For purpose, not profit, trust me. I'm sorry, Lauren. Some of the things that the company does, you believe that. It's not for profit. But in the long term, profit will come because the why and the purpose is so strong. And so that touches me, and it aligns more closely to who I am and what I want to be. And so I felt compelled. So how did it impact me? I felt so compelled based on the vision and the culture of the company and what it stands for, that I wanted to personally go out and take this on directly, not from a corporate standpoint, but actually impact people's lives. And so, for me, Gary kind of dusted off a passion of mine, which is about lifting people up, which is about helping others transform lives. And we have a beautiful platform to do that with Young Living. And so that is kind of what I got from the experience of Gary, and that is radically different than any other company we work for. I mean, any other company. If you think about it, right? Some of the experience we talked about, whether it's the barn experiences with the baby elk, or whether it's the hunting experience, or whether it's the sitting around the table, with a group of 40 people in the wilderness, experience. There's a passion for the culture of the company, and there's a passion for making sure people understand and can grab a hold of the why. And so for me, there's a big difference with Young Living versus some of the other companies we work for. And actually, it's really 6 companies that we work for together, because I was Lauren's tutor in calculus in college. So
Fired first session.
And so that's kind of like from the perspective of like company, right? I mean, I've asked John, I've asked Nikki kind of a similar question in terms of like on a very personal basis. I don't think any one of us can run away from the fact that once we have an interaction with Gary, that he profoundly impacts us on some level. So I kind of am also really curious for both of you. Like, what is it? I mean, Todd touched a little bit on it. Like it moved you that much to actually move from a capacity of being corporate to actually go into the field. Like to me, that's huge as well. But I'm just wondering, like, is there something else even more that you actually felt like, wow, this something really shifted and changed for you in the presence of getting to know this person?
Yeah, mine was definitely, the fact that I grabbed a hold of his spirit and being, and it closely aligned with mine in a way that I would never ever imagined, and it dusted off some passion for me to make a radical change. Understand, I was actually doing corporate America stuff, right, for 3+ decades. This is radical, and I had a chance to work with people in the field in a direct sales capacity before, but it never touched me the way that it touched me when I connected with Gary specifically. And so for me, that's kind of my, how it changed and how he impacted me on a personal level. How about you?
I would say, and I don't say this is a change. I think it's something it helped reinforce the importance of. And I would say it's about treating people, and I mean every person on this planet, with a level of dignity and respect that they absolutely deserve, no matter what they do, no matter what their background is, where they come from, how they've contributed or not contributed to anything. It's about the belief that everyone is important. I've seen Gary interact with farmers, so not just our farmers that work at our corporate farms, but traveling with him to other places and seeing how he's interfaced with other people. And everyone matters. You are the only person in the room when he's talking to you. Everyone is important and their voice matters, and they have an opinion that needs to be voiced, and they need to be able to share it. And I think that has also helped influence how I lead at Young Living. I think, again, I've always valued dignity and respect for others, but what it's allowed me to do is even step back and spend a lot of time deeply engaging with every person in my organization. And I have a pretty large group. I have probably over 1,500 people. And, but how much knowing something about everyone, asking how you're doing, how is your mom who's ill? How is that child who went off to college? How is that first grandbaby? And it's because of, Gary just knew people are so important. And especially when you go to places like the warehouses and the farm, and their memory of Gary. And so always connecting with them in the way that Gary did in the past, for me, is just really important. But again, he always emphasized how important people are, and making sure that they have a voice at the table.
Wow. See, I told you guys, we're close to an hour. We were targeting 30 minutes. But it's always amazing. Just when we sit down and want to talk about Gary, just no way to complete stories, or to even just get one foot into like describing who this man is. I want to invite the people on Facebook Live. We do have tons of people watching, and they might have questions. They had some comments that Rana has pasted over here, one of which was, Lauren is not a person who cries often. It's very rare to see her this emotional. So thank you for sharing your deep love for Gary. Yeah.
Well, let's be very clear. I am way more emotional than Lauren. So I'm the one who cries in movies. Lauren doesn't. So that
you're
person,
crying at that? That's silly. It makes no sense.
Right. So that person, that's a great comment. That's a great comment. One thing I will say is that for me, I jump and gravitate to this every once in a while. There is nothing that Gary couldn't do. There was not a no, and there was always a possibility. And it's, physically, I still don't understand how it's capable for someone to be able to. He was a master snowmobiler, a master skier. He knew everything about animals. He knows everything about the whales. I'm like, where does he get the time and the capacity to do this?
Yeah.
And so, when I sometimes struggle with, multiple priorities. Oh my gosh, my daughter wants to get married here. You know, sometimes I gravitate to, you know, there is a way, and if you just push through it. There's ending to some degree. There's no ending in your capacity to do things you want to do if you are passionate about them, if you believe in them. And so that's something that I definitely take away. And I think many people take away from Gary's experiences.
We do have a request here. So again, everyone on Facebook Live, if you do have a question for Lauren and Todd, I'm just going to take the last few minutes to kind of open it up for any questions. But we have a request here. This was very specific. It says, Todd, please give your wife a big hug. Oh. Oh. So sweet for Caroline, Robert. And of course, Joanne's listening in as well. And you guys.
PGTV.
Yeah. But I'm just, like I said, I'm just really grateful. As people are connecting, and hopefully they might have questions for you guys. I do have a question. Yeah, sorry.
I have a question for you.
Yeah. Wow, you have a question for me? Okay.
What inspired you to do this? This is absolutely brilliant.
That's so strange that you're asking. So I was just telling you guys that I love it that on our team, Rana, she's part of our team that works back end to support our organization. She's the one like who held the heart of Gary, and she came to us and say, hey, 12th May is just second year anniversary. Can we do something? And I love what I call God's Dropbox moments, because like every time somebody brings up something, I know it when it's like a must happen, when it just clicks in and feels so right. And when she said that, I just went like, yeah, we should do something. And she says, let's just get people to share stories. And like I mentioned, names just came in, like no hesitation, just pop. Like we just knew that these are the people that we need to hear from. And so we've asked you. And I think for me personally, my folks know that I went through a tough 1 year. And I also do want to take the time to really acknowledge Todd, you know, like as a corporate person at that point in time, I remember that was also an extension that I had felt from the Young Living family, that when I was going through a rough patch, that I had a phone call from Todd from US and to just ask me how I was. Like, I remember these moments because like Gary is like one person that has always been about people. And to see that love and that compassion extend through and coming from the other corporate family, like I didn't expect it, to pick up a phone call to just check in on how I was. So, so last year I would never have been in capacity to be able to put together something. And so this year, it just felt like it was perfect. It was like when she brought it up, I wanted to do it. We've in a lockdown situation, it's just weird, but it just felt also just as perfect, because I felt like this is the best time that we have an opportunity to almost feel like we're sitting by the campfire and just no distance, like everyone's connected on Zoom or over the internet, and we could just listen in to stories and connect as a family. We don't have to just wait for international convention, like right here, right now. It's wonderful for me to see. I never expected this to kind of expand into this big project, but to see people just sharing this across to their different organizations, for people to hear the stories and write to us and tell us that it means so much. Like I was talking to Joanne the other day, and it's that same kind of feeling where you go like, you feel like Gary's around, and you feel like he's just hanging out with us. He's got a huge smile on his face. And he's like, this is a good party. This is a good party. All across.
Okay. Yes. I will tell you one quick 30-second story about hanging around the campfire and really feeling Gary's there. Gary has set up a trip to go gold mining in the northern region of Canada, the Yukon region of Canada, right?
Everything is going to be donated to charities.
Right. So all the the gold that was collected was going to be given to the foundation. Okay. And it was the Howden family in Canada actually put this together.
Mm.
Wasn't able to go, and he wasn't in a condition that he felt good about going. And it was we were sleeping outside. It was something that the Brooklyn girl and me were really uncomfortable with. But he wasn't able to go, so he asked if we could actually go, along with another executive, on his behalf and represent him. OMG. First of all, the experience was crazy. She was driving the load haulers, and it was unbelievable, totally different than we ever expected. But we sat around the campfire, and the people who were invited were those who've lived with him for years, whether it's in Ecuador or lived with him in the building of the Northern Lights Farm. Anamaya. So people who've been around for like 15, 20 years. Mm-hmm. You're talking about stories. We sat on a campfire and just listened to some of the experiences that they've had, and it truly helped shape even a bigger view of the influence and the uniqueness and just the power of Gary and what he created. Mm-hmm. But oh my gosh. Anyway, I just want to share that with you. That's a little story of ours.
Yeah. Let me see. I do have a question here from Charlene. What does the Walkers want people to know, especially in this time of isolation and stress? That's like a deep question. What would you like? What's a personal message, or maybe something that you think Gary might want us to know? How to carry on at this point in our lives?
What's that?
Yeah, sure. I would say think about some of the things we've talked about that's unique to Gary, and get back to core, right? So when you don't have such opportunity to kind of go off and do so many things and be so many places, connect with the people who you should be connecting with. Think about the areas that you may want to focus on intrinsically, right, to develop. And frankly, I'm a business builder now. Share.
Exactly.
What we have and why it's unique. And given where we are right now in the pandemic, there's no shame to it. The reality is the message that we have before the pandemic is the message we have after and during the pandemic.
Yes.
It's the same. We have something very unique and special. And so those are three things that I would say I would want people to know. And I would think if Gary's looking down and putting words into my mouth, those may be the words he would put.
And I want to build off of something you said. Okay. So back to core, I have the advantage because I'm in corporate of seeing what people are purchasing. And I can speculate as to why. So everyone's like, oh yeah, thieves and those kind of products are real important. And yes, people are buying a lot of thieves, but there are a lot of emotional oils that people are starting to take another look at and are purchasing them to help them through this time, help them and their families through this time. And those people are smart. And you could see the trend in oils shifting to really emotional oils and again, getting back to core that I think a lot of people forgot about. We get so into different things, but we need these oils and they're powerful and they help us through these difficult times. And I would say, please go back to the things that brought you into Young Living, revisit those as a part of your daily regimen to again, enhance the support mechanism that Gary gave us these oils to go do.
Yeah.
And one last thing I'll say from a corporate standpoint.
It's not corporate. Go on.
No, well, so as you know, we're all working from home, those of us who can. So obviously the warehouse, the farms and places like that, physically there, and we're doing everything we possibly can think of and it's shifting every single day to provide them more support. But even the corporate organization, it's been tough for us as well because in addition to being segregated from everyone else and our peers and the people, our family, but having to run a $2 billion business remotely has also introduced many different challenges. And so we're constantly revisiting the things that, how do we provide support for our internal employees to make sure that they're okay. Some people don't have great home life situations. Some people don't have environments where they can work with great Wi-Fi. So we've really been connecting and reaching out to many of our corporate staff to provide them with maybe the right ergonomic chairs, with Wi-Fi boosting capabilities, with emotional support tools. If they absolutely cannot work from home, can we provide a segregated area in the corporate office where they can actually come in? So we're reaching out to all of our folks just to make sure that they're doing okay during these times too, because they really, because the stress of obviously of trying to keep things in stock and support you guys, in addition to being isolated, is taking its toll on our folks as well.
And thank you for that, because I am, like we talk about it all the time, that Gary is all about people. And that to hear this is what you guys are also focusing on, and just like really going out there on loving on the guys and making sure everybody's okay. And thank you, Lauren, for bringing up and reminding us about the emotional oils, because I think if any one of us who's been using oils for a period of time, we would have also heard Gary teach so much about the emotional oils. He loves the emotional oils. And he puts so much emphasis on how that is such a crucial aspect to our entire well-being, not just the physical well-being as well. So that was really, really appropriate and timely reminder. So I'm just being totally aware of time, and I want to be really respectful, because again, I found out from John and Lauren that this is the week that you guys are putting together the virtual international grand convention. And this is the first time we're actually doing that. So it's so many new things. You guys are preparing so much at the back end. I cannot be more grateful, because when this was being planned, we did not know that we're going to hit it right in the smack of this crazy week that you guys are doing all the filming, all the hard work that you're putting in, and yet we are dragging you guys out of bed early in the morning, going like, do this interview for us, please, So
I have about 5 texts from Brittany. Where's the script? Where's the script? It's coming.
I just want to end off saying this. I was just looking at both of you, and you guys are representing the two things right now for me, as I watch you guys, that Gary is passionate about. Lauren, Gary is always passionate about his farm and to make sure that we get the best oils, and the farm is open for the members. And you're carrying such an important mission to keep that for us, because without that, that's not young living. The plants, the how we honor the plants and really go through the process of getting the best ones, the best oils. And you're carrying such an important role on behalf of Gary. And then I look at Todd, who has taken off his corporate coat and go like, I'm deep diving into the field, and I'm being with the people. And that's the other thing that Gary is passionate about. The people who are out there. It doesn't matter how big, how small you are, your organization is, like, go out there and talk to people, love on people, tell them about what essential oils can do. So I'm looking at both of you, and I'm like, I like want to cry, because I think if Gary is sitting here right now, he will be holding you guys' hands, and he'll be saying how proud he is and how much he loves both of you for doing this for him. Not on a corporate level. I know heart to heart, he loves you guys. Thank you for doing all that for us. On behalf of all the members, you guys are the perfect people to be doing this.
We're honored that you invited us, Kai, and thanks for letting us share some of our stories.
Yeah. So thank you very much for today. Thank you to all the folks who are tuning in right now from all parts of the world on Facebook Live, and people who will continue to tune in and share. Thank you for sharing this, because I think more and more people need to hear the stories, especially people who have not had the opportunity to be close, to have that personal encounter with Gary. But through each person's story, I know for sure that the spirit of who Gary is and what Young Living stands for will continue to just keep burning and just continue to keep making and changing this place that we call our home, Earth. So thank you very much, Lauren and Todd, for tonight. Thank you. We'll say bye to everyone. And I'm going to pause this and see everyone. Bye.